Welcome to Culture Summerside's Clothesline Theatre. We have been waiting for you to tune in to hear tales of Prince Edward Island, a place of history and some mystery. You may be surprised by the true stories that have been unearthed and brought to life by our radio dramas. We invite you to settle into a comfortable chair and let the voices and sounds trigger your imagination as you hear the following dramatic story.
There was a time in our Canadian history when growing older brought with it financial insecurity and hardship. People worked as long as they physically and mentally could, for there was no mandatory retirement age and no public pensions to take them through the final season of their earthly lives. Those who had not been able to save throughout their working lives or had few assets were dependent upon the generosity of family. Now, this was not always a pleasant situation. In 1927, the Canadian government addressed the issue with the introduction of its first public pension plan. The old age pension was for Canadians 70 years and older with little or no income. However, the pension proved less than an ideal solution and faced constant criticism, and calls for change were finally heeded in 1951 with the passing of the Old Age Security Act. The act went into effect on January 1st, 1952, a year that would bring many changes, including the death of King George VI and the ascent to the throne of Queen Elizabeth II. The initial old age security check was mailed the first week of February, the same week as the King's death. Both created a buzz in the town of Summerside, Prince Edward Island.
My, that was a wonderful Mass this morning. I look forward to Sundays to hear the priest's sermon.
Yes, Sadie, it was good to hear the Lord's word, but better still is the rest that comes with the Sabbath day.
Well, May, looks like you might be able to give up that cleaning job, if what they say is true and the checks are in the mail.
I don't know about that, Clarence. Can you trust the government?
The Journal Pioneer says the old age checks were sent out from Ottawa last week and were received yesterday in Summerside. We should get them this week.
It would be the answer to my prayers. At 72, it's harder and harder scrubbing floors on these old knees.
I can't believe it myself. They say every Canadian 70 and over, man or woman, and even status Indians are going to get a pension check of $40 a month regardless of our means.
It's called a universal flat rate pension. The only requirement to qualify is to have lived in the country for the past 20 years. That's something different from that miserable means test for the old pension.
The original old age pension, though implemented by the Dominion government, was cost-shared with the provinces. Different provinces joined at different times, so depending on where a senior lived, they might or might not have access to the pension. It was 1933 before Prince Edward Island joined the plan. A means test was administered to applicants to determine if they qualified for the pension. The test varied from province to province, but regardless of where it was administered, it earned the reputation of being demeaning. It examined all aspects of a senior's life, but didn't take into account the actual cost of living. If a senior's annual income, including pension, amounted to more than $365 per year, they were ruled out, regardless of their circumstances or needs.
It's too cold to stand out here talking. Since it's nearly noon, why don't we go down to Andy's Diner and have lunch to celebrate getting the pension? I can't recall the last time I had money to eat after church.
But you don't have the check in your hand yet, Stanley.
But it's coming. So let's go spend a few cents. Who knows how long we'll even get the pension when the current life expectancy for a man is 65 and for a woman is 70. Every day counts for us old fellows. Come on, May. A woman who's worked as hard as you deserves a little treat.
How many in your party?
6 of us seniors will be dining. I expect you will see a lot more of us older folks with the coming of the old age pension.
We have high hopes it will be good for business. Here's the menu. The special today is roast beef dinner, which includes pie and tea.
Oh my, that sounds good, but I think I'll just have some soup and crackers with a cup of tea.
Now, May, this is a special occasion. Order yourself the roast beef special. In fact, why don't we all have the roast beef?
Yes, let's do that.
Yes. 6 roast beef specials it is.
I can't say I ever thought there would come the day when all Canadian seniors would qualify for a pension.
It seems strange, considering in the past you had to be dirt poor to even get a morsel from the old age pension. They tried every way they could to get out of paying it. They even tried to force children to care for their parents. I know too many poor old souls that ended their days sitting behind somebody's kitchen stove. I'll be thankful if that saves me from that.
They encouraged my own mother to sue Clarence and me for her upkeep. We were already putting a roof over her head and feeding her along with trying to bring up our own children. I don't know what more they thought we could do.
The Great Depression impoverished so many seniors. It sent home loud and clear the message that circumstances can change quickly and leave no one unscathed.
Like my father, who worked hard all his life and asked nobody for nothing. When the Depression wiped out his savings, he applied for the old age and got a few checks before his death. Then, didn't they try to claim the money back from his estate when he died?
The inflation that followed World War II really ate up the little bit of income the seniors had left to live on. Suffering was widespread among the old, but all the government cared for was about that damned means test.
Now you enjoy your meals. I'll be right back with fresh water. I'll bring your tea with the pie.
My, what a heavenly smell. It's been a long time since I had roast beef. Since my dad died, things have been hard.
Savor every bite of it, May.
So why the sudden change of heart by politicians and civil servants to help us now?
It was the people that called for the change, Sadie. The government finally had to listen.
The people were indeed calling for change. After the turmoil of the Great Depression and World War II, Canadians were seeking economic stability and a society more equitable for all. Unions, gaining in strength, were calling for change and improvement to the lives of average Canadians, as were new political parties such as the Cooperative Commonwealth Federation, better known as the CCF. Unemployment insurance was implemented in 1940, followed by family allowance in 1945, and veteran pensions were created. This spurred on the call from newly formed senior groups to fix the broken senior safety net. In 1946, the BC legislature proposed the term senior citizens to give significance and respect to older Canadians. By the late 40s, all political parties and the civil service were supporting the need for a senior pension change.
Just how are the politicians going to pay for this universal pension? The Journal Pioneer says that 3,016 people in Prince Edward Island will be getting the pension.
The Guardian had an article saying across Canada the number is 643,000. Double what was getting the old pension. The number will only grow since people are starting to live longer with better medicine and hygiene.
I understand the government's going to pay for it by raising personal and corporate taxes by 2% and earmark a portion of the manufacturing sales tax towards the pension.
So our children will be paying, just in a different way.
But it'll be there for them in their old age, too. That is, if they don't ruin the country.
Dear God, May is choking on the beef. Help her! Help her! Someone help her!
Quick, don't beat me your shoulder blades.
I can't get the food up. Get someone younger and stronger to get on her feet and pound.
Here, let me.
Oh, May! May!
My Lord, she's dead.
If it weren't for the old age pension, she never would have had that roast beef.
She never even got her first check.
Poor May. She never did have any luck.
Does this mean we'll have to pay for her meal?
Hitting the Jackpot. Seniors Get the Pension, 1952. The introduction was by Lowell Eustis. The narrator was Stuart Smith. The actors were Patricia Brooke, Leona Arsenault, Norma McColman, Paul McWilliams, Ian Campbell, Eddie Clark, Christy Shaw, and Dempsey Perry. The musician was Christine Anderson Gallant. Foleys were Krista Carruthers, Alexandra Gallant, Jamie Webster, and Sabrina Webster. Recording artist was Peter Gallant. Scripts were written by Marlene Campbell. Scripts were researched by Jean McKay. Prop managers were Carol McFarlane and Sabrina Webster. The production was brought to you by Culture Summerside through the support of Canadian Heritage.